Today is June 16th. I want to come with some updates on what's happening with the One Big Beautiful Bill, with the student loan provisions in the Senate version. So I want to talk about those updates as well as talk about PSLF buyback, since we've been getting comment requests. If there are topics, that is to show that if there are topics you'd like us to address, please leave them in the comments and we will be sure to review them. And if there's multiple requests, we'll make content around that. I'm always looking for content ideas anyway. So let's dive in. First and foremost, the Senate bill, a lot of things are staying the same with the One Big Beautiful Bill with the repayment assistance program. The Senate version is even a little more restrictive than the House version, as in they want to allow people into two possible plans. One is the old income-based repayment, which is 15% of discretionary income, or people will have to enroll into the repayment assistance program. If you're close to paying off your loans or close to getting loan forgiveness, that should have very little impact to you. However, if you are far, like you're in year 3 of paying your loans on a 20-year plan, or you're in year 3 on a 10-year plan, then this is possibly not great news for you, because in lieu of getting forgiveness, you may need to just think about paying off your loans. So that is the news. This bill is not good for Parent Plus borrowers because the bill is getting rid of income contingency repayment. So if you're a parent with Parent Plus loans on a high balance that will have issues with repayment, it is very vital to consolidate and get into an income-driven plan as soon as possible, with the idea that hopefully you'll be shuffled into the old income-based repayment since you've already enrolled into an income-driven plan, right? That would be my best advice for parents and Parent Plus loans. We had some videos talking about double consolidation for Parent Plus borrowers. That may still be an option to consider doing that. Whatever action, enroll into an income-driven plan sooner rather than later, just because there may be no options to enroll in the repayment assistance program is not available to parents with Parent Plus loans. I want to make that very clear. Yeah, the other thing the One Big Beautiful Bill is doing is getting rid of Grad Plus loans. That is going to be a very interesting. People are going to have to resort to private lending, it looks like, for graduate education. More details on that to come. So if this information and these updates are relevant, please subscribe. 92% of people that view our content are not subscribed to our channel. That's why our subscription is really low, despite getting thousands and thousands of views every week. So please support our work by subscribing. And of course, if you like any videos, please do like them. And of course, commenting also helps. So if you're a Parent Plus borrower, or you know people with Parent Plus loans, please share this content because it may really be important for them. If you're a Parent Plus borrower and you have not consolidated your loan, you're not quite sure what to do, you might be still borrowing for future education of your future children. You might be thinking, what do we do about their education? Our consults are available to help people with Parent Plus loans as well. I want to make that very clear. Now, let's dive into what I promised, which is talking about PSLF buyback. Several questions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to screen share studentaid.gov, not because I want to read it to you by any means, but because I want to go along with the content so that you know where to get access to this content or information when you need it again. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and screen share here. I am literally on studentaid.gov. It's where I get all my information. And it is also where I point people to who need information on the federal student loan programs, because it's the source of truth. One thing, by the way, looking at the site that I forgot to mention, if you are a Parent Plus borrower, is there's also an option that if your child or children for whom you borrowed are now out in the world earning good money. There's also, I'm going to link to our private refinance partner below. You can also refinance and put the student loans back into their names if they can pay it, and they're successfully employed and can pay back the loans themselves. That may also be a good option in lieu of you as the parent holding on to multiple children's educational loans. So I just want to put that out as an option because I meant to say that. Then I'm looking at my notes just now before I do this segment and realize I forgot to mention that. So now let's transition to public service loan forgiveness buyback. You see my screen here. So what is buyback? Again, I reiterated this on the very last video, but the buyback opportunity is only available if you've made 120 qualifying payments or close to it. When I mean close to it, let me show you an example on the site. For example, here's the site, right? Let's say you're at year 10 and for some reason they didn't count these random months on this example in year 6, like this 10 payments and this 1 payment, okay? Let's say it's because, I don't know, you were between jobs, you paid a little slightly late, fees, you didn't qualify your employer, who knows the reason, right? But basically, you worked for a qualifying employer, but for some reason, these payments did not count. If you counted them, they would be 120 payments. You're a great candidate for buyback, assuming you can qualify to get these payments counted, okay? So what are the requirements of buyback? Let's talk about that. The requirements of buyback is that, of course, you still have to have made 120 qualifying payments. For the time you were in deferment, you're going to make a qualified payment. So let's say those 11 months, right? You didn't get counted for whatever reason. You want to see if it's eligible for buyback. So if it's eligible for buyback, it's available for direct loans with a positive balance while you were working for a qualified employer. So let's say you were 3 months between jobs, you can't buy that back because that was not a qualified employer. So I want to be clear. If you had 3 months you didn't pay, you were between jobs, or you were taking a summer vacation before you take your next job, whatever the reason is, if you were not at a qualifying employer, you cannot buy back that time, okay? But let's say you were with a qualified employer, but you were in deferment, forbearance. An example of why you would be on forbearance or administrative forbearance, for example, is if you consolidated your loans and it took them 3 months to consolidate your loans, right? You can't buy back months during which your loans was in any of the following statuses. So I want to go over this because if they were consolidating and it took them 3 months, and you were still at that nonprofit employer or government employer, you can buy back that time. Let's say it took them 3 months, 6 months. Okay, you can buy back that time. You cannot buy back for in-school grace period, default bankruptcy, or if you were applying for total and permanent disability. So again, let's say you just didn't qualify that employer, you were in consolidation, but you still were working for a qualified employer, you are a candidate for buyback for those months. You cannot buy back if it wasn't a direct loan. So if it's in the process of consolidation, you could likely buy back that time. But if it wasn't a direct loan, like you took out FFE LP loans and they weren't direct loans yet, or let's see, you can't buy back so obviously, I mean, you wouldn't even try to buy back if it's already been forgiven. That doesn't make any sense. It's already been forgiven. It's been paid in full. It's been discharged, or it's included in some other loan. Then obviously those are reasons that you can't buy back. And by the way, who wants to buy back loans that they don't even have to pay? That doesn't make sense, but they put it there for, I don't know, I guess to be thorough. So let's go over how is the buyback amount determined? So the buyback amount is determined by the payment amount likely, what it would have likely been during the months you had you're buying back the time. So if you're in an IDR plan immediately before or after the months you're trying to buy back, so if you're in deferment or forbearance was less than a year in length, they'll use the lower of the 2 months IDR payments for the months before and after that period of deferment. So they're giving you the benefit of the doubt, and they're using the lowest of the before and after payments to give you the amount you have to pay for that buyback. So let's say 1 year you earned less, your payment was 200. After that period of deferment, it was 300. They would use 200. In this instance, it's for, let's say, 10 months. 10 months times 200 is $2,000. You pay $2,000 and get those 10 months counted. Let's say that helps you add up to 120 payments. Boom, you pay those $2,000, file the right paperwork, and boom, you should have your 120 payments. And the time in which you have to pay they should now update your qualified payment count. It should include those 10 months, and boom, you're done. You should be done. You should get a letter declaring that the remainder amount is forgiven. Of course, they say if you weren't in an IDR plan before or after you're buying back, they'll request information from that calendar year to determine your payback amount. If your deferment or forbearance was across multiple tax years, then they'll need your tax information from each year. If you weren't required to pay taxes, you'll need to submit a statement to that effect. But basically, they will try in as close as proximity as possible to determine what your payment should have been during that time period and calculate your months of buyback based on what your income was at that time. Obviously, it's easier if you were in IDR before or after that period, because then they could just use it based on your student loan file, your history of repayment, right? So you're going to have to send some information. We can help you gather it. If you're not quite sure what to do, let's say your situation's really tricky. Let's say you were unemployed before that, and then right after that, you got a great paying job. What should you do? In that instance, they do use the lower of the two. So I would tell them I wasn't employed at the period prior to this. I was employed at this period after that. I would tell them the circumstance, and let's say that they use some kind of combination, even if it's a combination between, but those are the last months and the remainder is forgiven. Let's not forget the bigger picture here, right? If you can submit it, pay back some amount and be done paying, then let's remember the bigger picture. I always say that to people because some people like obsess. They'll be like, I have to pay $200 a month. I can't afford paying $200 a month. What do I do? And then I can't afford this. I don't want to or some people will say, buyback's great, but then I have to pay a lump sum. I don't want to pay a lump sum. I don't have the money to pay a lump sum. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, legislation is changing. They might get rid of a plan that you could be done and being completely done, get your loan forgiven, or you could get at risk of being put in a plan where your payment's way higher once this legislation changes. Like, save up to do the buyback. That would be my advice to people, right? Like, if we're about to go into a legislative change and you're so close to getting forgiveness, if you get this PSLF buyback, start saving the money now, because if I were you or the borrower in this instance, if I were them, I would just want to buy back and be done paying rather than have it hang over my head with all this legislative uncertainty with being forcing people into choosing income-based repayment, the old plan, or repayment assistance. So just remember the big picture. Some people are like, well, I don't want to leave saved forbearance. I'm technically done paying, but I don't want to leave saved forbearance. And I'm like, wait, you don't want to address buyback. You don't want to address dealing with your current qualification, certifying your employer because you're on saved forbearance. Like, some people are like, I'd rather do nothing right now, even though the action they could take could literally lead them to forgiveness within a few months. They're like, oh, I'd rather not do anything right now. It's like, there's too much risk in doing nothing. If the action that you're going to take is going to lead you to a specific buyback and a specific timeline to forgiveness, I recommend people acting now to get buyback, get qualified, and be done with their student loans than to sit around waiting to see what the government's going to do with saved forbearance. There's some people that are like, I don't have to certify or do anything with my student loans until November of 2025. Even though if they did something, they would have their 120 payments or very close to it, like they're on payment 112. You're on payment 112, and there are actions you could take with buyback. There are actions you could do to enter a payment and then be done. Take those actions because we do not know what's going to happen. And if you're going to be close to done or possibly done before you have to be reshuffled into a different repayment program and endure all the changes that are going to happen to student loan repayment plans, I highly recommend people act now. If you don't know how to count your possible months of buyback opportunity, get on a call with us. We can help you analyze and understand there is a qualified payment counter. It used to be on Mohila. Now it's managed by the Department of Ed. There is a qualified payment counter. Download your aid file, look into the payment counter, understand what is your current payment, because that's the biggest mistake people can make, is just sitting around waiting for the government to act, not checking into the status of their loans, and not just leaving it up to the hands of somebody else to manage when you're so close to forgiveness. I highly recommend people research and know all their options, especially before all these changes happen again, because we know student servicing is a wreck. And this past transition of servicers was so horrible. So many people didn't get notifications, and now they're getting their credit hurt. So let's try to minimize as many transfers by getting out of debt, especially if you are close to it, okay, or close to getting loan forgiveness. That's my little spiel and pep talk, because it says right here, you see payment account adjustment for PSLF credit. It's saying right here, follow these steps for buyback. Okay, there's a help tool. We can help you fill out your paperwork as well. There's also, they provide payment account adjustments. So you're going to get that. You're going to get your payment account adjusted, just like I told you. Verify the months of forbearance or deferment you want to buy back. Verify these months. Here's the process to do it. I'm going to include this link as well. And then, of course, you want to submit your PSLF reconsideration. This is part of the paperwork we can help you with. And you're going to state that you have the 120 months, right? You're going to state that. You're going to check that on the buyback form. And basically, they're going to expect you to pay the amount of buyback within 90 days. And that is what I'm telling you when people are like, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, it's like, you're going to apply now, you have 90 days to figure it out, or you're going to continue to stay in debt, paying and possibly having a chaos with your student loans unnecessarily. I've seen that with a few people who qualify to just do it, and they just don't want to come up with, in my opinion, is a pretty small lump sum, like $2,000. They just don't want to do it. They don't even want to pay the $200 a month. And so they're going to put themselves subject to who knows what's going to happen in the student loan world, right? So that is my take. Let us know if you need any assistance. I mean, I could click through some of these, but let's look through some of these for the benefit of people who really need the PSLF buyback. Let me click on some of these links live so you all can see. It does take a second to load. Submit for reconsideration. You're just basically going through the PSLF help tool, is just refilling out the PSLF form, submit a reconsideration request. Let's look at what this looks like. I'm hoping this will lead to some forms. Okay, I guess we got to log on. So that's going to be a challenge in viewing it. We generally, what we do here at LoanSense is we take the forms in PDF format. We assist you in filling out all the forms. We actually will do it for you. Like, you'll tell us what the circumstances, the situation, we'll fill out everything, and you will docu sign or electronic sign for the forms that we submit. We also create a paper trail, so you know what forms have been submitted relative to studentaid.gov. There is no paper trail. You don't get a record that you submitted. And that's what's frustrating with studentaid.gov. The deadline for submitting my reconsideration request. not basically 90 days from the day of the letter. Let us know if you have any questions. If you've submitted, you're getting back documentation, you can't understand what they're saying, what the requirements are, we're here to help as well. I was also asked one final thought. How long is it taking? I'm just going to say that it is taking much longer to get your cases reviewed right now than it was in November of last year. I don't have the exact timeline because people's submissions, we've been seeing different amounts of time, but I would say at least a couple months at the current clip of what we're seeing. So, and what I'm hearing from our student loan advisors, our work, as well as the work of others outside of LoanSense that are helping borrowers, student loan attorneys, and our colleagues in the industry. So again, comment below, leave questions. Like this if you like it, of course, and share this with others who obviously qualify for PSLF buyback, public service loan forgiveness buyback, or are parents with Parent Plus loans. Thank you all. Have a great rest of the week.